Welcome to this Calvinian architecture, Amuljura Street, on a late winter afternoon. Today I'm reading from the 5th octave. The keynote is So, the colour is blue, the first chapter, and the city is Pirra. I'm reading verse 2 and 3. Verse 1 is my translation of pirra, which is Italo-Calvino, invisible city. And this book that I'm reading from, A Calvinian Architecture, is a response to Italo-Calvino's invisible cities. This is verse 2. How do you describe this? You're driving a car across 4 counties in Maine on a cool September evening, an evening that quickly turns into night, and somehow something unusual enters the abitacolo. That's Italian for the interior of the car. Abitacolo sounds better to me. At any rate, something unusual begins to inhabit it, the car you're in, without you knowing quite how it's happening. You know it's unusual because your heart beats much faster and you have to look at each freeway sign very closely in order to understand its meaning. Everything seems disengaged from everything else, dislocated. Pretty soon you're wondering what your hands are doing on the wheel, who it was that you spoke to up in Skowhegan under that pine, who drove that speedboat all the way to the shore as we ate outside on the patio, who clambered down from the side door of that seaplane as it came to a smooth halt, only a few meters away from the jetty, how that sunset managed to find itself there, and how you nearly lost your way later just walking along that pebbly shore, and how when you finally found your way to the Skowhegan Library, all you wanted to do was to leaf through books on architecture. Suddenly, without any warning, you wanted to see houses, many houses, each different from one another, from many parts of the world. You wanted to know how to build each one, how to build a house, so the trip back to Sabbath Day Lake becomes momentous, as though you're bridging 2 worlds, before and after. But before and after what? As you get closer, things ease. And as you drive into the village, you see one light on. Sister Frances is up probably reading her favourite stories, accounts of early Shaker life. You park the car under the big oak, turn the headlights off, and hear the motor cooling, each of its infinite number of metal parts retracting one from another, finding their proper distance, letting the spaces in between clearly define each component, no matter how tiny, no matter how seemingly insignificant. There's something in that, you think. And then the light glowing through the 3rd-story window goes off. Only wind in the oak. Distant dogs, restless. The motor, now utterly silent. Verse 3. It's called Café de Rio, and it's on the boulevard across the road from the Mekong in Phnom Penh. Many different size barges float down on the river's lazy waters just across from there. They carry corn and greens, peanuts in their shell, boiled in salt water, dried fish, chilies, rice wine, mangoes, coconuts, pawpaw, little sweet, pineapples, bananas. They stop for you anywhere on the banks if you're hungry, or even if you just want to look. The air is sweet, though some things that it stirs in Phnom Penh's back streets, that it washes out, that it surrounds and then contours, is not. On the boulevard Sihanouk Colourful flags fly everywhere. Everyone is smiling, even if the holes in the road, in the walls, and elsewhere are gaping. Loredana has somehow ended up here from Brazil. Today I've come back from Angkor Wat, and she tells me that the apartment upstairs is for sale for $1,000. I've been thinking, in the meantime, of how I can get to stay here longer, how I can get to Angkor Wat for a few weeks, months, years maybe. I keep recalling the drawings I made of all the temples in my first year of architecture studies. I've had those images in my mind now and then, just now and then, for quite a few months. But I hadn't realized they were images of those very drawings till I got to Angkor 4 days ago, and then suddenly I understood something about architecture, about building things systematically, one on top of the other, with each component being a perfect microcosm of the whole. But all that is another story. I will tell it to you, but I don't know how to quite begin right now. So I'm looking for a way to stay here. And she tells me of the apartment, 4 rooms, a kitchen, a bathroom, a balcony overlooking the river. She takes me upstairs. I sit up there for a while, and she has drinks brought up to me. I keep on sitting till sunset and past. I'm about to make up my mind. I'm about to decide that perhaps this is right, because it's not so right. I think of Angkor, I think of the drawings, I think of the river, I think of the fruit, the fish, the architecture, the stones, the sky, the wateriness of everything here, the way everything drips, is dripping right now, from leaf to stone, from the soft green dripping leaves to the hard grey stones. Then she calls me from the bottom landing. "Domenico," she says, "there's a call for you from Bangkok." I take a last look at the river, the lights fading. All the barges are now lit up, and women sing indecipherable songs. I turn and quickly go downstairs. That's always how the story ends, isn't it? You turn and you quickly go downstairs. I'm out at in my car, looking into the Mildura street in front of my house, because that's all we're really allowed to do. And everything becomes exceedingly clear when you do something like that. Crystal clear, you might say. Until tomorrow, when I read from the 5th octave, the 2nd chapter, and the city is Adelma. That's not unlike looking into the Mekong, just a different kind of water. Until tomorrow.